Hi everyone, Melissa Crook here, design team member for Bello's Designs. Today we're going to be making this super fun infinity card. They're also sometimes called never-ending cards, but I've seen them called infinity cards, so that is what we're going to be making. I'm using almost all of the new Lavinia release, and I'm using all of the new Elements ink colors as well. But this card is pretty fun, a little bit time consuming, so I'm going to try to keep it as fast as I can. But we will go step by step with each card panel and detailed instructions of how to put this card together. Alright, so now we're going to start with our decorations of the panel. So we're going to need our little cut up square pieces. We need 4 of the 2 3/4 squares. And we need 4 of the rectangles that are 2 3/4 by 1 1/4. So 4 of those. I like to do each individual panel, each side, one at a time. It's just easier for my brain. So for the front panel, we have the Oakley Flourish, Logan Silhouette, the Fairy Town signs, and the Flower Collection. I have my stamping platform, just because I think that's what's going to be easiest for the moment. And I like to stamp all my silhouettes with that in case I need to re-ink them. So we're going to start with one of our larger squares. Get that set up. And I'm going to start with the Logan. And I'll put that about there, giving some room on either side for some more stamping details. And set that up. About right there. Okay, ink up in the Nocturne. Nice light taps, and cover your stamp very well. Give a nice good press. Let it sit there for a minute. Let it soak in. Okay, now I've missed a little bit right there, so I'm just going to give that one more stamp. Quick coverage, not moving anything. If I didn't move anything, it should line up perfectly. Much better. Oh, well, shucks. Okay, quick wipe that. Okay, so set that down. Okay, and now we're going to use our flower collection. We're going to use this little one here for the ground, and we're going to use the Flourish, Oak Flourish for the top. I'm going to stamp my base here, and of course you can keep using your stamping platform, but I can move this quicker, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to ink up this in the Twilight. And to just give him the appearance that he's kind of jumping over something. Okay, first and second generations. These little stamps, I really like them. They're some of my favorites from this set. They're going to be very versatile. Okay, and the Oak Leaf Flourish. And I'm going to ink that up with Versafine Clair Rainforest. Nice little taps there. That's probably good, actually. So I'm just going to clean that off. Excuse me. Okay, and we will be using these again, so I'm going to keep them out because this is our whole design for our front of our card. So I'm sorry that if I'm getting kind of cluttered. Hopefully that's okay. So there is our stamping done for panel number 1. So now with number 2, we're going to move on to the sign here, the Fairy Towns. I'm not really sure why they called it Fairy Towns. But anyways, I love it. So this only fits part way on here. So you want to kind of get an idea of where you're going to want it lined up. I kind of just like it just off a bit. But it helps to have your stamp straight. Or paper straight, excuse me. Okay. That about there. We're also going to ink this up in Nocturne. We're going to set this over here to the side. Okay, and that's the last time that we will use that stamp, so I'm going to set it away. And then we're going to use the same 2 stamps that we had before in the same colors. So the little kind of a branch. I'm going to put that at the bottom. enough. And then we're going to use our flourish, our oak leaf flourish, with the reinforced again. And just a couple. Okay, so there's that one. And, oops, I don't know what I have 4. I only need 2. 2 of those, 4 of the rectangles. And I'm trying to keep my paper from getting all cluttered. So I like to do my 2 that are going to go across the top and my 2 that are going to go across the bottom at the same time. Try not to get your magnets stuck together because that's kind of difficult. So I don't really need magnets for this because I'm doing this by hand. And follow suit. I'm going to do the top first. Reinforced, Versafine Clair, oak leaf flourish, and I'm going to use both of the stamps that come with this set at this time. And I'm just gonna do them a few different directions. And now with the smaller, we will just add in a few. We're going to do some first and some second generations. Okay, so that's that for across the top. And for the bottom, we're going to use 2 of the flourish, or the flower collection. And I believe we are done now with the oak leaf flourish set. Let's put that away. And we're going to use Twilight again. First and seconds. And I'm going to add the other little flower stamp, so I'm leaving some room for that. So this one looks more like a seed pod. going to do that in some first generations heavy inked up at different levels. And of course, you could turn them. Okay. So a couple of those. We will be using this set again, so don't put that one away yet. Okay, and that's all the stamping for our first side. And now we are going to create the backgrounds. Okay, so we will need our blending brush, blue and green. We're going to be using blue atoll and green sleeves. And what I'm going to do is just kind of here and there, mixing them. Gives you an idea of what colors blend well together. I have my, just dip that in the wrong color. So no worries, they blend good. So I'm going to start here and just kind of go in random, try to get some green on the bottom. And I did it again. Why? So just mix that here and there. Okay, so now really some green sleeves we're going to mix in. So when you mix your blue atoll and your green sleeves, you get this really kind of a pretty dark green. Instead of a yellow green, but so just blend a little bit of that together randomly. And randomly just fill it in. Put some shading, little shading around the edges. Lavinia, these inks are, the Elements inks are very juicy and wet, so I'm just barely pouncing that. I want this to be a little darker, so I'm rubbing a little harder. And I'm trying to not go right into the sign. So I think that needs a little more green. Some brightness. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So now, oh, forgot this one. This one's missing some blue atoll. And if you kind of go really lightly around it, it makes your image of your silhouette stand out. So that's how you do that. So now I'm going to put my water spray bottle and clean this up. And I'm going to set all of these how I'm going to place them on my card. But I'm going to just give this a quick spray with my water bottle. Just a spritz. And I'm going to let that sit for just a second, and I'm going to just dab up just the extra puddles. And it gives it those little light watermark spots. And it blends it a little bit better together. So, hope you can see that. Okay, so card base number 1 side is ready. So, we can affix this to the card. This, in my opinion, is the easiest way. Do it now when it's done. That way you don't get mixed up about what goes where. And it's easier to see on your card. So, and I'm going to put these, try to line them up, giving yourself that 1/8 of an inch border. Now, of course, if you wanted to mat this, you can. It just makes your pieces that you stamp on and decorate a bit smaller. So if you're using just pattern paper, coordinating papers that you're not stamping on, it's not so hard to use all your double mats. So, and they look really nice. I've seen many that have been done that way. So try to line it up as straight as possible. And you want your edges to be in line with the toppers on top of it and below it as best you can. So I like to get all of my panels done on my cards before I do any kind of embellishment with the pins, because sometimes the gel pins, they smudge, and I don't want to be flipping my card over and having smudging. So I'm going to do that at the end. So there is our first panel done. So now we can turn it to panel number 2. And remember that these sides will show through, so you want to have your coordinating area there. Okay, for the second panel on the inside, we're going to use our Meadow Mushroom, the Everly, and Potions. The one card we're going to leave blank for the sentiment area, where you can write your note or whatever to your receiver of your card. So we're going to leave that blank, and we'll just ink around the edge when we do our backgrounds. So to start, we're going to start with our one large square that we're going to decorate. I'm going to use my platform. I'm going to stamp up the Meadow Mushroom. I'm going to just set that to the side just a bit. We're going to ink that up using Nocturne. Give that a good press and let it soak in. Very good. And we are going to have our little Everleaf fairy just sitting right on that mushroom. So the easiest way to do this is kind of take your acetate and figure out where you like her to sit. I think she sits beautifully just right there on the edge of the mushroom. So just like that. And I'm going to also ink her up in Nocturne as well. Set those off to the side, and that's done. And now we're going to take our little squares and ink up our potion bottles. So these are kind of hard to, the little squares, you can't use your magnets, they don't fit. So we're just going to use the 4 smaller bottles. No particular order. I'm just going to put one on each one. And this one, the wing oil is a little tall, so I'm just going to set it off kind of to the side like it's going to pour out maybe. I'll set that there. If we get both of them together, maybe I'll hold that in place. Of course, I don't know why I'm doing this. Could stamp them all 4 at the same time, most likely. But I'm not going to worry about that. That's just, I'm getting fiddly. So we're going to use several different colors. I'm going to use the Twilight. And of course you can use your colored, all your other colors of Versafine Clair if you have them. For this card, just so I'm not bringing in more supplies, I'm going to use some of the Elements inks. So for the wing oil, I'm going to use the Blue Atoll, which in my opinion is very close to Warm Breeze. I think it's pretty close to the same color. A little bit brighter, possibly, but close. And then I'm going to do this little fairy dust. I'm going to use the Emperor Red to stamp that. And then I'm going to use green sleeves for the glowworms. And pop that down. So the card panel number 2 is quite easy for stamping. There's not a whole lot on that one because these little 1/4 inch squares are so small. So we have those and that. Now we're going to do some inking for our background really quickly. And I am going to use the Blue Atoll and Emperor Red for these. On my other card I used the darker blue, but I'm going to change it up just a little bit and see how this works. So we're going to kind of do the same sort of thing. We're just going to blend some colors randomly here and there. And Then we'll blend it in with our blue atoll. I'm going to do some with a little dark edge around our edges, maybe just a bit. And clean that off. And blend that in, and we're just going to add some colors. So this is when your hands get inky, so I'm being kind of messy. I'm sorry if that bothers some people. It doesn't bother me if my hands get messy. It's all water based and it will wash right up. But these little squares, I get it on my fingernails every time. So be aware. Okay, no particular order. You can also take your inks now and, you know, darken up your edges if you like. This paper is so pretty that you don't really need to do that, but it just adds a little to it. Makes it more cohesive just a bit, just to bring in the colors that you're using. If you want, you can edge every single square, but I'm not going to do that today. And then with our white card that we're going to use for our sentiment, I'm going to use the same colors, but I'm just going to go right around the edge. And I'm purposely not doing it all over. I'm just holding it and just flicking some color on there. Just a little bit more. So just hold it and just flick it on there, just a little. That way you'll have some room to write. You can blend just a little in, just to give it a little more depth. Okay, pretty good. We'll clean this up. Oops. Okay, and this time, instead of our spray bottle, I'm going to use a fan brush. Now, don't be afraid of water. Put your brush in there, get it wet, like get it really wet. And then I'm just going to put all of these just next to each other. And brush is wet. It's got water dripping from it. So you want to get those first little drips off. And then just tap it. You can tap it with that. You can tap it with your blending brushes if you want. That works well too. But I'm just trying to get that real organic feeling from the waters. And then I wanted this, I'm doing it with the brush because I want those bigger droplets. And then I'm going to add some glitter sparkle when it's done, and that will just make it look like the potions are doing their thing. Okay, and now we can glue these down. Just go around. I'm gonna put her on the bottom instead of on the top. Doesn't really matter, just however you want. You can put that there. You just probably want to have one of the bigger squares, and I like to use the ones that are on the inner side to write my sentiments on. Or you can stamp your sentiment as well, or both, however you like to do it. And get those straight as possible. Okay, that's that right there.